Welcome back to Behind the Lights, where we pull back the curtain on Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. Today, we're diving deep into a film that defies every rule of Hollywood success, The Shawshank Redemption. It's a movie that has been called the greatest film never to win Best Picture, and for years, it has ranked #1 on the IMDb list, outranking classics like The Godfather. Yet what you might not know is that this tale of hope, friendship, and ultimate freedom was, by conventional metrics, a colossal failure. It bombed at the box office, earning less than its production budget, and was nearly killed by studio executives who simply didn't understand it. The journey of Shawshank from being a literary novella to a cinematic masterpiece is packed with more near disasters and behind-the-scenes secrets than Andy Dufresne's escape tunnel. We're talking about profound insights revealed by the cast and crew themselves. Morgan Freeman, Tim Robbins, and director Frank Darabont, details so subtle, so interwoven into the fabric of the film, that even fans who have watched it dozens of times have completely missed them. But the story of its unlikely triumph begins with an almost unbelievable transaction. When director Frank Darabont approached Stephen King about adapting the novella Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption, King was skeptical. The story was considered too internal, too psychological to film. What few people know is that King ultimately sold the rights to Darabont for a single, solitary dollar. This was part of King's Dollar Baby program for promising filmmakers. Tim Robbins later revealed that this $1 gesture created an unusual and liberating freedom on set. They weren't making a big-budget blockbuster with studio executives hovering over every single scene. Because the stakes weren't seen as that high, Darabont was given remarkable creative control, allowing him to layer in the profound, symbolic details we're about to uncover. This is the irony. The film that would achieve immortality started as an afterthought for Hollywood. Today, we're revealing the 7 hidden secrets the cast confessed decades later. The revelations that completely transform how you understand Andy Dufresne's journey and Red's redemption. From the hidden meanings in the weather to the iconic scene that was shot first and almost deleted, you will never see The Shawshank Redemption the same way again. Top 7. The weather is an oracle. How rain and sun define the fate of every character. We begin with a secret so subtle, it works entirely on a subconscious level. The deliberate use of weather as a visual storytelling tool. The cast and crew confirm that the weather in The Shawshank Redemption is not random. It acts as an oracle, reflecting the emotional and moral state of the events happening on screen. If you pay close attention, it's always raining when bad things happen at Shawshank. Think of the film's darkest moments. The night the sisters first attack Andy, the night Tommy is killed, and the night the corrupt Warden Norton commits suicide. Each moment of institutional evil or personal tragedy is marked by gloomy, perpetual rain, mirroring the perpetual gloom of the prison itself. The prison exists in a constant state of emotional grayness, a visual cage that complements the physical walls. But this technique is most profound in moments of dramatic climax and resolution. Andy's famous escape takes place during a violent thunderstorm, nature at its most dramatic and powerful, matching the tension of his breakout. The storm isn't just a convenient cover for his noise, it's a celestial match for the monumental event occurring below. However, the true secret lies in the final scene. When Red finally finds Andy at the beach in Zihuatanejo, Mexico, we see bright, clear sunshine for the very first time in the entire film. Virtually every other outdoor scene, from the prison yard to the parole board office, is shot with a gray cast, clouds, or rain. The sun doesn't truly shine until the very, very end. This means that freedom, true freedom, both physical and spiritual, is quite literally bathed in sunlight. This technique ensures that the audience feels the warmth and clarity of redemption, even if they never consciously register the pattern. It is the visual affirmation of Red's final choice, to get busy living. Top 6. The Brooks subplot. The brutal break that studio executives tried to cut. The 6th most profound secret hidden within the film involves a character whose storyline is heartbreakingly brief, yet absolutely crucial to the emotional payoff of the entire narrative. Brooks Hatlin, the elderly librarian who commits suicide upon his release. Most viewers see him as a symbol of the tragedy of institutionalization. What many viewers don't know is that this pivotal, devastating subplot was significantly expanded from Stephen King's original novella, where Brooks was little more than a footnote in the source material. Director Frank Darabont, however, saw something in this minor character that no one else did. He understood that Brooks represented all the men who become institutionalized, who cannot live beyond the walls once those walls have become home. The decision to expand Brooks's role fundamentally changed the film's emotional landscape. It established the stakes for Red's eventual release and created a devastating counterpoint to Andy's steadfast hope. Without Brooks, the ending would lose much of its emotional impact. We wouldn't fully understand just how remarkable it is that Red chooses a different, better path. This scene was so impactful precisely because of the personal commitment of the actor, James Whitmore. Whitmore based the character on his own father, who had suffered from depression in his later years. In fact, the tender scene where Brooks feeds the birds wasn't even in the original script. Whitmore suggested it because it was something his father used to do, noting the profound loneliness in that simple act. This personal connection gave Brooks's storyline an emotional depth that resonated far beyond its screen time. The biggest secret, however, is the executive interference this subplot faced. Director Darabont later revealed that studio executives pushed to cut the Brooks sequence entirely, arguing that it slowed down the main story. Darabont fought vehemently for it, explaining, "Without showing what happens to him, Red's final journey means nothing. Brooks chose fear. Red chooses hope. Without one, the other has no meaning." This context makes Brooks's famous carving, "Brooks was here," even more poignant. When Red later explicitly rejects that fate by adding, "So was Red," before departing for Mexico, he's not just leaving a message. He is consciously choosing life and hope over institutionalized death. The Brooks subplot is not an emotional detour. It is the necessary, tragic setup for Red's redemption. TOP 5. The $1 Fixer. Morgan Freeman's hidden criminal backstory for Red. Morgan Freeman's narration as Ellis Red Redding is the emotional anchor of the Shawshank Redemption, making his character arguably one of the most iconic narrators in cinema history. Yet, even the most devoted fans miss the profound layer of backstory Freeman created for Red, details that informed every single gesture and line reading. The film only briefly mentions Red's murder conviction, leaving much of his past a mystery. However, Morgan Freeman revealed that he created an entire criminal history for his character that went far beyond the film's brief mention. In Freeman's mind, Red wasn't just a random man who committed a terrible crime. He was a man of power in his community who lost it all. Freeman envisioned Red as someone who was running numbers in the black community, probably in the late 30 seconds or early 40 seconds. This background was essential because it explained two key elements of Red's life at Shawshank. First, it explained why he was so good at getting things inside the prison. He was always a fixer, always knew who to talk to and how to make things happen, even on the outside. He brought that skill set into the prison, instantly establishing his unique position of influence among the inmates. Second, this background explained his immediate, profound recognition of something different in Andy Dufresne. Red didn't just see a wealthy banker. He saw a man who, like himself, had once possessed position and influence, only to lose it all to the system. This shared, unspoken history of fallen power created an instant, recognizable bond between the two men, which is why Red recognized something different in Andy immediately. This extensive, invented backstory, a secret kept entirely by the actor, transformed Red from a simple character into a man who was deeply accustomed to navigating complex, corrupt hierarchies. Whether on the streets of the 1,940 seconds or within the walls of Shawshank, it makes Red's eventual rejection of the system in front of the parole board so much more meaningful. He wasn't just rejecting their judgment, he was finally embracing authenticity after decades of being a fixer and a chameleon. TOP 4. The Three Posters. Why Rita Hayworth, Monroe, and Welch mark Andy's rebirth. The single most iconic visual motif of Andy's confinement and escape is the series of movie posters that adorn his cell wall. First Rita Hayworth, then Marilyn Monroe, and finally, Raquel Welch. Most viewers see them as simple pinups or, more pragmatically, tools to conceal the tunnel. The real secret, however, is that Tim Robbins revealed these posters are a carefully planned, symbolic commentary on Andy's entire journey toward freedom. The posters tell Andy's story and track his progression toward rebirth. Rita Hayworth. She represents the 1,940 seconds and 50 seconds, the time when Andy first arrives. Hayworth is a classic beauty from a more innocent time, representing the societal constraints and relative innocence Andy carried into the prison. She is fully clothed. Marilyn Monroe. She represents the next era, the late 50 seconds and early 60 seconds. Monroe is more sexual, more complex, marking a change in Andy's inner life as he becomes hardened, more methodical, and begins his long, secret work. She is more revealing. Raquel Welch. Her poster from 1,000,000 years BC represents the primal and elemental. She is literally dressed as a cave woman. Director Frank Darabont confirmed this interpretation, stating that this final poster represents Andy stripping away civilization, shedding the constraints of society, and preparing to crawl through the filth to come out clean on the other side, a literal rebirth. This progression gives profound new meaning to the famous shot of the Raquel Welch poster flapping in the wind after Andy's escape. It's not just revealing his escape route, it is the visual symbol of the final shedding of his former identity, the last layer between his imprisonment and his freedom. It's a layer of depth that confirms Darabont's incredible commitment to visual language over simple decoration. Top 3. The secret framing, the visual clue. That Andy was imprisoned deeper than anyone else. One of the deepest cinematic secrets of the Shawshank Redemption is a visual pattern so pervasive that, once you see it, it transforms your understanding of Andy's state of mind throughout the film. Tim Robbins pointed out a pattern that virtually no one notices on first viewing. Andy is frequently framed behind bars or through barriers in shots where other characters aren't. Director Darabont would intentionally position Andy behind staircase railings or fences, even in scenes outside his cell or in public areas of the prison. This visual motif appears dozens of times throughout the film, registering only subconsciously for most viewers. What does it mean? It is a constant, subtle reminder that Andy feels imprisoned in ways that transcend the physical walls. He is caged by his innocence, by his former life, and most significantly, by the secret plan he is meticulously executing. When you rewatch the film with this knowledge, it transforms your perception. Andy is not a man who has accepted his fate, as the other institutionalized inmates have. He is a man who is constantly, visually, being reminded that he is fundamentally disconnected from the environment and the men around him. He is caged by hope and purpose, which acts as a different kind of barrier. This masterful use of composition is Darabont's silent way of showing the audience how tightly Andy is caged compared to others, and why his escape is both mental and physical. Top 2. The roof beer scene, the hidden moment. Andy started his 2-decade escape. For many fans, the iconic roof-tarring scene where Andy uses his financial skills to buy his fellow inmates 3 beers apiece is simply a beautiful, emotional moment of temporary freedom. Red's narration speaks of the men enjoying a taste of the outside world, feeling like free men for 20 minutes. But Morgan Freeman revealed a much deeper secret about this sequence. That scene isn't just about a moment of freedom. It's the beginning of Andy's actual escape plan. If you pay close attention, this is the precise moment when Andy first begins to help the guards with financial matters. It is the foundation of his alternate identity, the genesis of his role as the prison's financial wizard. While everyone else, including the guards and the inmates, sees a man getting them a few bottles of beer, Red sees something far more calculating and dangerous. He sees Andy building his escape piece by piece. What makes this secret so fascinating is the subtle foreshadowing of his eventual breakout. Andy is literally on the roof, above the prison, creating the identity that will eventually allow him to break free and access the outside world financially. The beer, which seems like a momentary pleasure, is actually the first critical step in a decades-long plan for freedom. This revelation highlights the incredible patience and forethought of Andy, making the moment of escape feel less like an act of desperation and more like the inevitable execution of a long-term contract. Top 1. The iconic beach ending, the shot that was filmed first and almost completely deleted. Our final, most shocking secret involves what is arguably the most uplifting conclusion in film history: the reunion between Andy and Red on the beach in Zihuatanejo, Mexico. This iconic moment of hope fulfilled was nearly left on the cutting room floor, and the way it was filmed is a secret the cast held for years. First, the near miss. Frank Darabont revealed that studio executives strongly pushed to end the film with Red on the bus, heading toward the Mexican border. They argued that actually showing the reunion was unnecessary and that the film was already too long. They thought ending with Red full of hope on the bus was enough. But Darabont fought for that final scene, arguing, "The film isn't ultimately about hope, it's about hope fulfilled." Without seeing the reunion, the audience would be left with the same uncertainty that plagues Red throughout the film. He wanted to give the audience closure. Second, the filming secret. Tim Robbins added another fascinating production detail. The final scene was actually the first thing they shot. This seems counterintuitive. Why shoot the emotional payoff before the actors had spent months building the relationship on screen? Darabont's reasoning was brilliant. He wanted to capture the slightly awkward, slightly tentative quality you see when two old friends reconnect after a long separation. Because Robbins and Freeman hadn't yet developed the deep, lived-in, on-screen chemistry that would make their prison scenes so compelling, the reunion possessed a subtle restraint. It feels utterly authentic, neither overly sentimental nor lacking in genuine feeling. The executive's desire to cut this scene now seems unfathomable, given how perfectly it completes the story. As Morgan Freeman noted, without that beach scene, Shawshank would be a different film altogether. A film about hope as an idea rather than hope as a reality. And that's not nearly as powerful. It is the ultimate secret that the moment that makes the film a masterpiece was the one that was almost entirely erased. The enduring legacy of the Shawshank Redemption is not accidental. It is the result of extraordinary craftsmanship, subtle symbolism, and deep personal commitment from its cast and crew. What we've uncovered today confirms that the film's success was not luck, but a layered, intentional masterpiece that tunneled its way into the public consciousness, one viewing at a time. We've seen how the film uses weather as a powerful oracle, reserving true, clear sunlight only for the moment of final redemption in Zihuatanejo. How the Brooks subplot, which the studio wanted to cut, provided the necessary tragic counterpoint to Red's eventual choice to get busy living. How Morgan Freeman invented a history as a powerful fixer to explain Red's skills and his immediate unique recognition of Andy Dufresne. How the three posters, Hayworth, Monroe, and Welch, were not decoration but a precise roadmap for Andy's elemental journey toward rebirth. How the roof beer scene was secretly the beginning of Andy's financial escape plan, a moment of hidden calculation within a moment of perceived freedom. And finally, the astonishing fact that the beach reunion, the emotional climax, was filmed first and nearly deleted by studio executives who failed to grasp the film's essential truth. The story is about hope fulfilled, not merely hope suggested. The Shawshank Redemption endures because it speaks to something universal. The part of us that feels imprisoned by circumstances, by mistakes, or by regret. It acknowledges that hope is a difficult, terrifying choice, but ultimately, it affirms our capacity for regeneration and connection. If you were surprised by these secrets and revelations, hit that like button and let us know in the comments which hidden detail completely changed your view of the film. And if you haven't subscribed to Behind the Lights, do so now. We're constantly diving deep into the untold stories and profound analysis of cinema's greatest treasures. Until next time, remember, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.